Hi everyone, it's Margaret Manning here with Retire Different. Retire Different is a place for people who want to ask the right questions to make great financial decisions in order to have a wonderful retirement. Now, today I want to share with you my personal story of retiring abroad. I'm an American citizen and also a British citizen. I've been living in the States and working there for many years. So about 10 years ago, I decided to come back to London and move to Europe. I was comfortable, but I put my 8 suitcases together and there I was standing at the airport ready for a new life. I kind of in my mind considered it retirement. That was what I was thinking I was doing. I was going to retire. Now, when I got to London, I had an opportunity to do a job that I absolutely adored, and I took it on for 2 years, and then I moved to Switzerland. So when I got here to Switzerland, I realized that there were some things that I knew about and some things that I didn't. And of course, the first thing you have to always think about when retiring abroad is your visa. The visa that is required by that country for you to live there and work there. Some places you have a retirement visa, but you can't work under any circumstances. Like you cannot take an income from another place. But in Switzerland, I was able to get a working visa, and that gave me the opportunity to start several businesses and to keep going. But for many years, I needed to work as a consultant and do different jobs. And I learned along the way the challenges that some Americans face when they try to work abroad. Now, you can do things under the table, of course. You can freelance or teach or do whatever you want. But, there's of course, there's dangers to doing that. You would not want to lose your residency opportunity just because you didn't follow the rules. And these countries are very well organized and they know what's going on. And of course, I have to pay tax here in Switzerland as well. So that's another thing to remember is if you are American abroad, you have to pay US taxes and the country of residence. I'll talk more about the US taxes in just a minute. Now, another thing that I discovered when I was here in Switzerland is their pension program. Now they have something which is similar to a social security program where you pay into it and then you get benefits when you retire. But because I was past retirement age, I will not be eligible for the benefit, but I have to pay into the program. This was a big shock to me because it was a significant amount of money. And so I have to pay the money in. I'll never see any benefit from it. It's like a tax. And that's in Switzerland, but not everywhere. But that's just an example of the kinds of things that you have to anticipate. Now, that not being able to collect the benefits was actually quite a shock to me because it would have been nice to have had a Swiss pension in the future, but that's not going to happen, something you have to accept. Another thing to think about is visas in general. Some countries allow you to have a retirement visa and to live in the country, spend your money there, collect Social Security, but you cannot work there and you cannot work anywhere and bring money into the country. So, for example, if you're living in Indonesia, you cannot work in the United States and have money coming into your account from a US bank account. You can't work if you're there on a visa, which is a resident visa only. That's another. Now, by the way, I'm not a visa expert. I'm not a tax expert. I'm just a person that's sharing my experiences with you. I highly recommend that you check out all of this with a professional before you move to the country of your choice. But I wanted just to share with you as an American citizen and a British citizen, for me, what challenges I have faced. Now, let's talk about income tax. So income tax for the United States citizen is taxable anywhere you are in the world. So you are taxed on worldwide income. So whether you make the money in France or Germany or Italy or UK, you have to pay tax in the US on that salary. Now, if you're making a fairly low salary or a low salary, you can use what's called the foreign earned income exclusion. It's around about $80,000-$90,000 now, where you can use that as a deduction. So anything over that, though, you have to pay the full tax, and also you have to pay tax on Social Security. If you're taking your Social Security payments and receiving them abroad, you have to pay tax on that if your income as a whole is over a certain amount. This is, again, you check it out with a financial advisor. You want to make sure that you're getting absolutely the right information here. Okay, so that's the financial side of retiring abroad. There's another whole issue here around being an American, being an American in a foreign country. Now, not everyone agrees with our politics or our politicians or our reality. I don't know whether American people notice this so much, but their decibel level on their voice tends to be higher than the average person. And when you're on a train or anywhere, a plane, you can always tell who the American guests are because they're very loud. And part of it's just they're enthusiastic and they're really, into their lives and what they're doing, and they talk to each other. They're vivacious. But for another country, that is very much against sometimes the norm. In Switzerland, nobody talks to each other on the bus. Nobody. You just sit and you go from A to B. And this is true in other countries too. Some places it's not so much. In the UK, you can usually chat. But the point here is that Americans tend to present sometimes an aura, a persona that is different than the cultural norm in a country. So whether it's, jealousy or they just don't understand that's the American nature, you've got to kind of respect that, and you've got to adapt to the country that you're living in or visiting, and embrace the local culture and respect it. I think that's important. Learn a few words in the foreign language. I mean, even just knowing how to order a coffee in Switzerland here is actually just people appreciate it. And even though they speak some English, they'll always appreciate it when you speak their language. Now, final point here. When you talk about retiring because you want to save money, and a lot of people do this, retiring abroad, I should say, when you want to save money. Just be careful of that, because when you say it's cheaper there, cheaper in what sense? Food may be cheaper, entertainment may be cheaper, but if you live 3,000 miles away from your family and you have grandchildren, getting home is a significant amount of money that adds up. It may equal out all the savings that you make in other areas. So be careful that when, what's cheap in one person's book can be expensive in another. So if you go to another country like Panama, Ecuador, Costa Rica, all those places that are very inexpensive, Indonesia, even some places like Portugal and places in Europe, they still have hidden expenses. I was just in Porto, for example, and the actual food was very, very reasonable, but there were other things that were a little bit more expensive. If you want anything in English, for example, English books or English, things that are not certain foods, they get to be expensive. So I think the important thing here is that just measure up what you consider expensive, and know that retirement really. The retiring different means retiring for your lifestyle, your personality. And even though, for example, some countries offer free healthcare, there's a balance. In the UK, yes, the NHS is free of charge, but you can wait months. And I know this from personal family experience, that you can wait months to see a doctor just for a diagnosis. And this is very different than the American psychology, where you expect to get instant, diagnosis and instant medical treatment. It costs money if you have to go private in places like the UK. So that's hopefully been helpful for you. As I've mentioned, don't take any of what I said as legal advice, as professional advice. It's just my experience, my interpretation. Go check it with a financial advisor. And I guess the final point I would make, it's mentioned in the article, so just please do listen or read that, is I do miss some stuff from the States. I miss home. I miss my friends. I would say 80% of my Facebook friends, all my people are united in the States. I miss them. I miss having chats on the bus. I miss having people just being prepared to, when you say, how are you doing? They actually go, oh, great, I'm doing this and that, and they tell you what they're doing. There's a spirit in America I absolutely adore. I love the country, and I am, very proud to be associated with it. But I do understand that I've made decisions to be closer to my family, to be in a place where I can have a great quality of life for me, and hope that you have the opportunity to do the same for yourself. So take a look at the article. Thank you so much for following our articles on retiredifferent.com. We've got so many articles up on that website that I know you're going to find intriguing and interesting. We're trying to actually present a different view of retiring. That's why we're called Retire Different. And you can check out our YouTube channel, and please tell a friend and join the conversation. Let us know. Have you ever thought about retiring abroad? Have you ever thought about retiring to another country? Which countries have you considered? let's start a conversation below. And I look forward to joining the conversation with you and talking with you very soon in the future. Take good care, everybody. Bye-bye for now.